What's happening, everyone? Welcome back for another episode of the Chamber Podcast. My name is Rob Johnson. We have another great show for you. Joining me in studio today is Rob Lacrosse. He is the owner of Floor Covering International. Rob, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
I should say welcome back to the show.
That's correct.
So you and I sat down and talked probably over a couple of years ago now.
Yep, it's been a while.
And this show is inching up on 150 episodes. So we're,
Oh, wow.
So you figure 50 episodes a year. Yeah, that's 3 years of content. So we're going to, it's nice to have a couple, repeat guests on here and catch up and see how people are doing, see how things are going. So just for the listeners that may not have listened to that first episode, just give us a rundown of what you do.
So we do all kinds of floor covering. We go into homes, measure everything. We bring in all these samples. We give a price right down to the penny to the customer. We usually hit 3 or 4 different price points for the customer. So we never really know what somebody's budget is. So we try to hit various budgets. And hopefully the customers pick us and they like what we do.
I love it. So residential, commercial, where do you prefer? What do you do?
We do probably 80% residential. We do dabble in the commercial area as well. We've done some yoga studios and we've done a couple different things. We've done some basketball courts. So we've got some pretty good stories that go with some of those.
Yeah, I don't want to get too far off the beaten path because I don't do it all the time, but I do want to talk about this basketball court that we were just talking about. Give me a rundown of what that looked like.
So it was in the middle of a guy's house. The house had 3 floors in it, so it had a 3-story ceiling in the basketball court. It was about a half-size court, and we put a wood floor in there and lined it and everything. And then for sound deadening, we put carpet on the walls. And I learned a whole lot about wall carpeting because there's burn rates and smoke rates and things like that you would never really think about, but that was all part of it.
We say burn rate, like in case of a fire, like here's
That's
how
correct.
much time you have before it all goes up, or what?
That's correct. There's I don't know who makes the rules, but there's certain rules that go with that. And,
There's probably some nerd sitting there lighting a carpet on fire, being like, all right, 2 seconds, 3 seconds.
there
4
you
seconds.
go. With a little stopwatch, I can picture it right now.
Yep. All right, very cool. So how long? I'm just curious. How long did that project take front to back to get it done?
We did the carpeting on the walls. We did two levels, so 12-foot high carpeting all the way around the basketball court. We did it in a weekend.
Wow.
So now the basketball floor that we put in there, that was a parquet floor, so it was a little bit more work. It was a glue-down wood floor, and that took about 3 or 4 days.
What's parquet mean?
They're little pieces of wood. They're little squares, about 9-inch squares in this particular floor, and they get glued. Every piece gets glued in onto the subfloor.
Is it like the Boston Celtics floor where it's all giant squares of wood that they put in there?
That's correct.
Like that? Okay.
But these are even smaller.
Even smaller. Okay. Very good. And then does it have to be pine, or is it, what type of wood do you use for that?
That one was an oak floor,
oak,
but they
okay.
can make it on any kind of hardwood.
Okay. Very good. This is me not knowing anything about
Right.
flooring, so I'm going to ask all the questions. So tell me, number one, how did you get into this?
Well, I was working for a company that outsourced all of our jobs. And so I took my team and started my own business. And when I was looking for something that I fit into, Floor Coverings International was a really good franchise, and I felt at home there. So I started, and now we're about almost 5 years in and doing very well. What
made you want to move away from that company?
Really, it was just, I thought I would retire there. And when they outsourced our jobs, the company had been sold 3 or 4 times. And when they finally outsourced our jobs, it was no option. You had to make a decision.
Oh, I see. I thought you meant you guys were contractors and they outsourced jobs to you, but they were pulling jobs away from you.
Correct.
I see. And that's what made you go off and do your own thing. Got it. Okay. Was that scary?
Yeah, it was kind of a different world. You make or break yourself.
Yeah.
So.
And how did you have experience running a business and a crew before that, or how did you prepare yourself for that?
I already had a team of people that were working for me at the prior job. So, it really was just transitioning from working for somebody to working for myself.
Okay. And 5 years in, what have you learned? What's the biggest lesson you've learned in the last 5 years?
There's things that you see. Every home is different. And so you learn things that maybe you would go back and do differently. But sometimes it's trial and error. Building is pretty systematic. So from that view, it's not too bad. But there are times you run into something that maybe you haven't seen, and I've been lucky because I've got a lot of resources around me. So if I haven't seen something, I've got somebody around me that has.
Okay, very good. So been doing it on your own, off on your own for 5 years. What's been your favorite part of the job?
I love people. I go into a lot of homes. I'm in probably 20 to 30 homes a week, and I see a lot of people, and it's just, very enjoyable for me. I enjoy people in general.
Yeah, you'd have to. And, I've always been on the other side of that, where 20 to 30 appointments a week would probably run me absolutely dry, where, I need low interactions for long periods of time. And that's how I operate. So you have to be in the space where 20 to 30 appointments, like, it gets you excited, right? It's always been like that?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's just kind of my nature. Every job I've had, I've been interacting with people, so it's a good thing.
And have you always been in the trades?
I have.
Okay.
I have. I've been in various trades. I have a background in construction, so I've been around for a while.
What was the very first job you did?
The very first job, going back, I worked for a company called Key Construction. That's back in the 80s. And we did windows, doors, roofs, siding, just about everything you can name. And I started there just sweeping the floors and with a dustpan and a broom.
Nice. So let's talk about the business for a minute and what people can expect. So when people are going to get, carpeting, hardwood, whatever it may be, they might start at Home Depot or Lowe's, and then they might be quickly, disappointed to find out that all that's subbed out to somebody else. It's not like Home Depot has in-house people that are, doing all the installs, right? At least as far as I know, that's not how it works. So what would be the difference between coming and working with you versus going and working with a box store or another company?
The biggest difference with a box store is if I call a box store, I don't know who's answering the phone on the other end. I don't know if the advice I'm getting makes sense. Many times the information that's going from the store to the customer isn't always accurate. Whereas we come out there, we're dealing directly with the customer. We bring the samples to the customer. We find out what they need in their home. We're in their home. We can look and see how things are going to fit into that home. So, we look at things and we can see if the floors need leveling, the prep work that needs to be done, where Home Depot doesn't know that. And not to bash on Home Depot because, they've got a good niche in the market. And I even buy some things there. So it's not a bad thing. But when it comes to competing with them, the service is a whole different level. If you call my phone, I'm going to either answer that phone or I'm going to text you back and say, hey, I'm with a customer, but I'll be back with you in about an hour or whatever it might be. So they have a direct line right to me. And through the whole installation process, I'm in and out of their home. During that whole process, my team's working in their home and I'm coming and going as the days progress.
I love that. Looking at your company overall, what is a typical turnaround time if someone calls you and says, hey, Rob, I need my whole first floor, half hardwood, half carpet. What's the time frame? What's your guys' current turnaround?
Typically, materials come in between 7 and 10 days. We can be in their home within a week or two after that. So about 3 to 4 weeks from start to end.
Okay. And then how many projects are you running concurrently? Or does it just get super crazy during certain times of the year? How does that work?
This time of year, everybody wants their floors done before the holidays. So
makes sense.
We're really pushing up on Thanksgiving right now. So we are booked up to Thanksgiving at this point. But we usually have about probably 10 to 12 projects in the works at any given point in time.
What's funny is you were just talking about Home Depot, and my wife and I were looking at carpet and padding. This is probably a year ago. And I'd asked the person in that department, there was like 4 different levels of padding. And you know this, but it was, like some are for like high traffic areas, other for like basements, or I don't know, not my area of expertise. So I asked the person, what's the difference? Because we were doing like a bedroom. And she's like, well, this one's probably good. And I was like, why is that one good? And she's like, well, it's Nike. It had like, I didn't know Nike made floor padding, but apparently they do. And she's like, that's a good brand. And I'm like, I don't have a lot of confidence from that. You're not really selling me terribly well, especially when you're like, that one's probably good.
Right.
Like it's either good or it's not. Give me a straight answer.
Well, when it comes to pad, I mean, there's so many different things. First off, they put moisture barriers on some of them don't. So depending on the situation, that may be something you might want onto your carpet pad. But the density of the carpet pad is the other big side of it. And then we've seen a move towards the memory foam carpet pad, which is incredible. So the old stuff was pre-consumer waste, and they would make it into these sheets of padding and sell that. And you can still buy that padding today, but the memory foam is fantastic, and there's different levels of that. So I would recommend memory foam padding for almost any application. It's a great pad.
What's pre-consumer waste? That sounds ominous.
So it is. Think about people that make furniture or car seats, things like that. When they trim all that rubber and that spongy foam type stuff, all that waste, they sell it to these companies that make the pad.
Okay, that's better than what I thought. I thought it was like someone's going to the dump with like a flat shovel
Right.
and like rolling out. That's just a part of it. It's a part of that pad that's going in there. It's just a bunch of garbage.
Right.
That sounds a little better than what I was thinking. So if people want to know more about you, get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to do that?
The best way to get a hold of me is to either text or call, but they can visit our website as well. And the website is floorcoveringsinternational.com or fci.com. It'll pick up either way.
Very good. And then how does it work with the franchise? Do you have a particular area that you service, or if they go to that website, is there a certain subsection where they can get to you, or is that just your site?
If they put in their zip code, it'll route them to the right Floor Coverings International franchise. Okay. And really, I cover this whole area, so pretty much anything from just outside of Lansing all the way out to White Lake.
Oh wow!
And then I'm going from Grand Blanc, just south of Grand Blanc, all the way down to Chelsea.
Oh, wow. Big area.
So I've got a big area. I've got 40 zip codes that I cover.
Oh, very good. Rob, anything else you want the listeners to know before we close up today?
We're running some specials on flooring right now. So I've got a couple Shaw products that are fantastic products, and Shaw's given us a nice price break on it. We're going to run that all the way through the end of December. Nice. So this is the time to take advantage of that. They very rarely run specials like that. So if the customer's interested in putting some vinyl floors in their home, it's a great product. It's got a great wear layer, so it's very durable. It's waterproof. I just can't see a reason why you wouldn't want this product.
That prompts one more question. So I know, 10 years ago when we had our first house, we had the first whole floor redone. We were talking to the guy that did the floors, and he was saying that there's really no substitute for like hardwood. And is there a comparable product to hardwood that holds up just as well? Or, if someone doesn't want carpet, obviously. But is there something that you'd recommend? Because I've seen there's, I don't know what they're called, but it's kind of like pseudo hardwood or, false
laminates.
Hardwood. Laminates. So is there something that you'd recommend that's just as good? Or is there a product that's, competitive with, traditional hardwood?
So, a couple of things I will say is hardwood and tile will always add value to your home. And we do both of those. We do tons of hardwood. We do tons of tile. So that's something we do quite a bit. But when it comes to durability, vinyl floors right now are one of the most durable products you can get. It's waterproof, something that wood doesn't give you. So you can put a piece of this material in a bucket of water and come back a week later, it's going to look the same. So it's a great product. The other side of it is there's laminates. So you get that feel of wood. It's still not waterproof, even though some of them say they're waterproof. They're waterproof to a certain degree.
Okay.
But they're still nice products. They go in. They're a little less expensive than hardwood would be. And it makes a nice floor, and they look good. They sound like a wood floor when you walk on them, so it's a nice floor. Where vinyl doesn't always sound like a wood floor, even though it looks like one.
I gotcha. Okay, very good. Well, Rob, I certainly appreciate your time. It's good to see you again.
Hey, thanks for having me back. I enjoy it. This is always a great place to come and talk about business.
Absolutely. Looking forward to round 3.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up this week's edition of the Chamber Podcast. I certainly appreciate you watching. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and press subscribe for all the updates from the Chamber. Be sure to visit the Chamber websites for all of the ongoings and things that are coming up. Apart from that, if you want to know more about Rob and his business, you can find all those details in the show notes as well. We'll catch you on next week's episode. Take care.